already. Ooh, hello YouTube, how you doing? You're on top of the TV again rather than over here. But I'll keep looking over here anyway, because that's where I used to have the camera. Oh, I'm such a good streamer. Anyway, Dwarf Fortress? Of course, of course. What else would you be doing at this point? Nothing, probably. Or maybe you would. Maybe you'd have something far more important to do, in which case, thank you for choosing to do this instead. But you know, procrastination, not always a good thing. Maybe you should do that other thing. I thought so. Bye. Anyway, let's get into the fortress, shall we? And I think we should immediately begin by considering the adamantine situation. At the moment, we're duping steel, which should be raising the skill level of our metal crafts dwarves. That's the theory, at least. Let's go over to Dwarf Therapist and take a little look and see how that plan is panning out. If I go to sort by nothing, have a look at our furnace operators. It seems that even though we have 5 furnaces, we only have 3 operators, which seems like a deficit. But let's just forget about that for now, because they are developing the skill a bit. Weaponsmithing, now that's a much more heady opportunity for a dwarf in the fortress, and it seems like many are taking it. Only one of them's got any real skill though, and that's you, Archimedes. Armour smithing, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now that's the actual number of... No, we've got one more workshop than that, but that's fine. They all seem to be picking up a little bit of skill. Urist up here, doing very well. Urist is currently at the proficient level, which is nice, I like it. How about blacksmithing? Well, we've only got 1 blacksmith in the fortress, and they're doing okay. They're better than any of our other metal workers at doing it. And then metal crafters, oh, they're also pretty decent, but I don't know how they've got that good. We haven't really been doing any metal crafting, have we? We've been building some tin bins, and that's about the size of it. Would you rather have a 15-minute nuke warning or no warning at all? It depends if I had a suitable shelter or anything like that, or, you know... Because it might be, the warning, I imagine, covers a vast area, so I might be in part of the area where I could leave and it wouldn't be too bad. I'm far enough away from London that I might be able to get away, if it was targeted directly at London, I might be able to get out of the bad zone. You never know, it depends on the size of the weapon, doesn't it? Oh, it's difficult, it's difficult. If I was sort of like, if there was no possibility of escape, I wouldn't want to know, but if there was, I definitely would, you see, and it's hard to say, so I think we should err on the side of caution and just give the warning. Why not? Why not? Excuse me. No warning at all, because the vast majority of the time that means no nukes. Well, that would be better, yes, that's a good point. I would rather have no warning because there are no nuclear missiles coming. That would be the best. That would be the optimal outcome. 15 minutes would allow you to eat all the lemon curd I have in my house. The problem with me is 15 minutes would immediately paralyse me with deciding what should be the last thing I do. Obviously I want to be with my family, but that's going to make having my last wank awkward, isn't it? So you've got to figure it out. Ideally, I'd need at least a 45-minute warning for me to get all of my business in life finished, right? That makes more sense. Anyway, the tin bins aren't even metal crafting, that's blacksmithing. Is Sal here? I haven't seen her yet. Let me just check in case she's AFK but watching. I'll look at the list of viewers who are in the chat. Doesn't look like it. Doesn't appear that she is currently here. Got quite a few people here as well there, that's quite good. Here in Tennessee, we have a siren test every Wednesday at noon, and tornadoes/severe thunderstorms happen like once a month. Nukes are just bad, okay? Until you use them as fuel for your starships and then blast them out the back to drive you to new worlds, then they're great. Then nukes are amazing. Or if, you know, you design a not very Fukushima-y or Chernobyl-y reactor that's very safe, that would be great. That'd be lovely. But nuclear bombs, I mean, surely, surely there's better things to invent. Surely if it wasn't for so much fucking war, imagine all those brains that have been put on the Manhattan Project have been put on something a little bit more productive, and they've gone, no matter what, we're doing this good thing instead of making the biggest bomb ever. And just building the biggest bomb ever, to me, feels like a staggering lack of imagination on behalf of like the people. I mean, sure, it was awkward, time constraints and everything. They needed to take the ideas that were already on their shelf and run with one of them. But I feel like if you've got that opportunity to do, you know, the defining scientific project of a century, there's got to be something else to pick off the shelf, right? Even if it has to be usable in a war scenario. I mean, in the alternate reality where the Manhattan Project was an entirely different project, what could it have been? I'm trying to think, and maybe if I can think of it hard enough, I'll will myself into that reality. Seems unlikely, but it's worth a try, right? It's worth a try. Hello, Hibernoe, welcome back. Thanks for joining us again. That's a good point. Before I went live, I did check, but Sal had finished streaming an hour ago, and she was hosting Ura's room, so it's highly likely that she's still there. And don't go hassling her, though. Don't go into Ura's room and say, the scoundrel is streaming. Could you all come here, please? Because that would be very rude. That would be very rude. Leave them be. Leave them happy in their ignorance. Where are we going? Oh my goodness. People disliking the idea of nukes being bad. I don't think that's a very controversial thing. Should have been a big laser gun. Oh man, now that would have been cooler. That would have been much cooler. Imagine if we had much more powerful lasers much sooner. Were lasers even a thing in World War II? Had they even been conceived of? I'm not entirely sure when lasers were imagined first. It seems likely, right? It must have been. They were all into beam weapons and ray weapons back in the 30s and 40s, right? That was the hotness. That was the crazy sci-fi of the day. I think. Must be the case. Must be the case. Most of the people in the Manhattan Project signed a paper saying that they would not let their research be used in war. Wah, 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 wah. That worked out well, didn't it? I mean, realistically, when the military come to you with a big wodge of cash and say, would you like us to fund your research? I think you know what's going to happen, right? Then again, maybe they didn't tell them. Maybe they didn't tell them. Maybe they said, we're a private company. And we just happen to think that the future of the market lies in huge bombs. Enormous bombs. The kind of bomb that would reduce Sarah Connor to a skeleton clutching onto a wire fence. You know, they wouldn't have got the reference, obviously. Unless, of course, the time travel depicted in Terminator is real, in which case they could have got the reference because the time travel would have been possible. So, who knows? Anyway, where were we? Teleporting. That would have been great. That would have been very exciting. Would have liked that. Discrete lasers were not a thing in World War II. Just ostentatious, rowdy lasers. The kind of laser that walked into a bar and let you know it was there. Pew pew goes the laser. Look at me. No, that's not how it works. I'm fairly convinced that without nuclear weapons there would have been a Soviet invasion as it turned towards becoming a failed state. I mean, we could hypothesize. I mean, that covers a lot of history. From the deployment of the atomic bomb in World War II to the fall of the Soviet Union covers a fairly large area. And to be honest, I mean, I feel like as it's possible and everybody was up for that and pursuing it, it would have happened anyway. We would have to, for the nuclear weapon not to have arisen around the end of World War II or, you know, before the end of World War II, we would have to posit a world with a very different understanding of physics, wouldn't we? Because it was obviously in the air. Nobody just went, I've had an amazing idea for the biggest bomb you will ever see. We're going to split atoms. The nuts and bolts to make that monster were already in the drawer of the workshop, if you see what I mean. It wasn't just bang, blue sky thinking, we're going to make an enormous bomb by splitting atoms. Or is it they ram them together, don't they? Let's not think too much about nuclear weapons. It'll get us depressed. We'll start talking about threads and when the wind blows, and we'll all be like, oh. It'll be sad. It'll be sad. Lasers were invented in 1960, and the general initial reaction was, but why? Well, that's often the reaction to new sort of like ideas and technologies, but hey, turns out they were pretty useful. Otherwise, where would we have been during the compact disc era? Listening to vinyl, that's where. Dave, I was actually thinking that song as I said it, and I just couldn't figure a way to shoehorn it in without me sounding a little bit mad. Einstein came up with the theory early 20th century. Exactly. Hello, Sal. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us again. Sorry I didn't come in earlier, but I was going to say I didn't start until just now, and then I realised, I've been going for 40 minutes, so, okay. I did start a while ago, but never mind. Oh, thank you very much for the follow, Sivan7. Ooh, intriguing name. Let's have a little look down the chat first. The Nazis were trying to make it too, but they had a minor issue with being defeated in the war before they could finish it. That's true. Also, they had suffered an enormous brain drain. You know, that was a big issue for them. I feel like... where was it? There was a book that I got recommended from... not recommended, but I read about in a Reddit article where they were talking about... they were actually talking about science of the Soviet Union, but this book that came up was discussing sort of the idea that the Nazis were banging out like super weapons left, right and centre, and the way that it was actually a bit of a fallacy, because they pretty much fucked themselves academically, like by, you know, threatening to kill anybody and actually killing people who disagreed with the regime, which included a lot of educated, clever people, you know. And by the end of the war, and if not earlier, a lot of the people who were responsible for, you know, thinking, you know, breaking codes for them and all that kind of shit were actively trying to fuck them over from within. So, you know, they were kind of stymied from the start, really. Well, not from the start, obviously. They had a good head start and then they fucked it all up, thank fuck. Anyway, where were we? How have we got onto the subject of fucking Nazis already? For Christ's sake. Do they never go away? In the 70s, they were a solution looking for a problem. Apparently, there was LCD screens were conceived long before you would think they were thought of, and one of the people who worked on them and developed them to like not to the modern standard, but sort of like did a lot of the groundwork for it, was trying to use them as panels for World War I tanks. I can't remember the exact details, but they were trying to figure out a way to use liquid crystal displays in World War I tanks, which seems mental. That seems way too early for that technology to be a thing. But that's what I heard. Someone might have to Google that. Someone might have to Google it. Yes, we have yet to unpause the game, Sal. It's going to be a while. It's going to be a while. That's good. That is correct. That is my understanding also, Polycarp, of how nuclear weapons work. But let's not get too detailed. Let's not give any mad men in the chat, or women. Women can be mad too. Women can be, you know, bloodthirsty despots. Although, strictly speaking, if you're bloodthirsty, that suggests to me you want to spill blood, which nukes don't really do. They kind of vaporise things, don't they? They tend to vaporise and turn things into shadows, rather than spill any blood. So I reckon Korn would be pretty pissed off if you turned up at one of his parties and you brought a nuke along. He'd be like, "What is this? How will this put blood for my blood god bath and skulls in my skull throne? Fuck you. You should have brought a pot roast." Or something of that nature. Who knows? Then again, I doubt Korn holds parties of that nature. I feel like parties held by Warhammer Chaos gods are going to be, you know, not the kind of things you bring stuff to, other than suffering. Anyway, where were we? Got a bit lost there. Nazis almost won, except for Russia, because they had 100 million people they would have thrown at the war to win. That's true. We do have to be thankful that the Russians were there to like fuck the Nazis up, because, you know, if they hadn't been, it would have been a bit of a different story. Thank God for Russia. Where are we? Let's have a little look down here. I'm ignoring any further talk of World War II, Nazis, or anything like that. We're just coming down through here. Came here for Dwarf Fortress, got Nazi history, not disappointed. Can I recommend Sivan7, the History Channel? Because they seem to be obsessed. They almost exclusively run material on Nazis and sharks, which I feel have very little common ground. There doesn't feel like there's much of a thematic through line on the channel there. And certainly, I don't know what sharks have to do with history, but they also do. I think they do that crab fishing show, which is apparently very popular. Personally, I'm more of a Curse of Oak Island guy. I love the Curse of Oak Island. I know nothing ever happens, and it's the most ridiculously inane program ever made. But it's what I like, okay? You lot can go and watch Love Island if you want. That's your tact. My tact involves digging machines and legends about Templars, okay? Good. Korn would not be a happy god. No, to be honest, I feel like even when Korn is having his demands fulfilled, I feel like he's going to be a surly fucker anyway, right? He's not exactly going to go, you know what? I feel pretty happy today. The blood pool is full. My throne is full of skulls. I mean, life's pretty good right now. I feel like he's always thirsting for more. You know, I just feel like, to be honest, I feel like Korn's a bit of a dick, right? Of all of the Chaos gods, I feel like he's the one you least want to get stuck talking to at a party, right? You're like, yes, Korn, blood, oh, yeah, great. Oh, skulls? Oh, wow, how exciting. Fucking hell, does this guy ever shut up? Then again, none of them seem like they'd be particularly excited. I mean, I've said this before, the only one I really feel like I would ever be interested in signing any kind of deal with would be Tzeentch, right? People love Nurgle. They're all like, oh, Nurgle's great. I love Nurgle. His models look so cool. But do you really want your guts hanging out? Do you really want to be a decomposing stench beast for eternity? No, I want to be a fucking multicoloured bird man with a book full of spells. That's what I want to be. And, you know, Slaanesh, get real. Come on. Maybe if you caught 14-year-old scoundrel, he'd be like, oh, I see you've got some bare boobs there. Well, in that case, pass me the pen and the contract. I'm in. But these days, I'm more of a bird-based magician kind of guy. Given those options, I mean, they're not exactly the best options in the world, are they? When you're signing your life over to a chaos god, something's gone wrong. Something in your life is missing, right? Or maybe not. Maybe it's the thing that was missing in your life that you needed. I don't know. I mean, some people benefit from Scientology, right? Like the people who get all the money? Pretty sure they're doing all right out of it. Anyway, where were we? Let's have a little look. Oh. Keep coming down here. It's more of a Texas, I would say, Diana. I've noticed, I don't know who I was watching, but the other day, but someone was talking about the shape of volcanoes in Dwarf Fortress and how they nearly always look like Texas. And to be honest, I don't know what Crimea. I don't know the shape of Crimea. You could show me a perfect outline of Crimea on a map, and I'd be like, oh. But that Texas, I recognise. The Lone Star State, definitely recognise that. Oh, don't forget Aliens and Atlantis for the History Channel. That's true. They do love a little bit of ancient alien bullshit, don't they? That's God, what an annoying, like, Ancient Aliens. I'm not so keen on. There's actually a pretty good channel on YouTube called Ancient Architects. So when you first look at his channel, feels a bit woo like that, and you think, oh, it's going to be one of those, is it? And then you listen to his stuff, and he actually like, no, that's not the case, that's not the case, that's not the case. And he's got a very specific brand of alternate history theory based around geology that I really like. But anyway, enough recommendations of that kind of nonsense. I make myself look like a crazy man. Ravelin says the only show I watch is Taskmaster. You know what? That's not a bad call. It is a good show. Although, having said that, this year's outing is going to be severely delayed. Have you been watching the tasking at home videos on YouTube? There's a mixed bag. I feel like there's a reason they use mainly comedians for the show on TV. I mean, people are all right at it, but come on, get the pros in. What does he do with the skulls? Surely the throne would be pretty uncomfortable. You know what, Sivan? I'm not sure comfort is high on Korn's list of priorities. I think spikes, rust, and, well, blood and skulls, to be honest, seem to be his priorities. And I don't think he's not looking at it going, but will it fuck my back up if I sit in it for too long? In fact, I'm not even sure the Throne of Skulls is for sitting. I feel like Korn looks at sitting with scorn. He's not the kind of god to be going, right, bring me my offerings while I sit in the chair. He's the kind of god you have to tap on the shoulder and go, excuse me, I'm sorry to interrupt all the rending and tearing and gnashing of teeth, but I happen to have something that I think might interest you. 33,000 litres of blood, and look at this pile of skulls. Amazing! And then he would be like, good, I like. Put them on the throne and the pool. Like, now fuck off. Because I feel like your offerings to Khorne are more kind of like, please don't kill me offerings, rather than, look at me, aren't I cool? You know? He's not the kind of god you really want to get the attention of, is he? Really, you want him to be looking the other way most of the time. Hello, Ralph. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us again. Excuse me. Where's the boob magician god we need? Now there's a sentiment I can understand. I'm pretty sure somewhere out there will be a boob magician god, although I suspect it's a false god, as I believe all gods to be. But hey, you know, let's not hold that against them. At least they're trying, right? I know, right? Taskmaster, very good show. Very good show indeed. I would recommend every single season. Well worth a watch. I'm sure at some point, says Dave Velociraptor, I'll just not want to watch Twitch anymore and I'll go to TV, but for now I can't get enough. You know what? I've been mixing it up. I don't watch a hell of a lot of Twitch. I do watch some Twitch, obviously, otherwise how would I know about Twitch? But I definitely don't watch as much Twitch as I do YouTube. If I'm talking like exclusively video content, my order of watching would probably be YouTube, then Twitch, then TV, then movies, which is weird because I used to watch a shitload of movies. I absolutely adore movies. It's just I never really... It's very rare that I'll sit down and go, I have about 2 hours to spare. Let's watch a film. This doesn't really happen that often anymore. Well, yeah, the Taskmaster's well worth a discussion, Ralph. Well worth it. I mean, so many good... Even the candidates who aren't great candidates on there, or the contestants rather, they're not... Nobody's been shit. Nobody's been shit on it. I mean, they've been shit at the tasks, but nobody's been unpleasant to watch. It's been... Oh, apart from that one guy who was a real dick about the thing, who was kind of painful to watch, the guy off Children's BBC. He was a bit of a pain. But I feel for him, because you could see he realised. You could see the horror in his eyes when he looked at what he'd done and gone, oh no, is that the kind of guy I am? Oh God. I've gone through 3 pots of Blood for the Blood God paint in my AOS Khorne army, and I can't get more due to quarantine, so I can't finish the models. Oh, heaven above. Sivan, are you in the UK? Because I believe Games Workshop have... everything I know about Games Workshop I know second hand, because I'm not actually directly involved in any Warhammer stuff, but I have a lot of friends who are. In fact, I have a WhatsApp group I'm in, which is almost exclusively dedicated to Warhammer stuff, but sadly it's less... Look at this model I painted, which I like. I love looking at the models, and it's more, who do you think should be in this particular list? And I'm like, I don't understand what you're talking about. Oh, I'm confused. Spikes and rust and blood and skulls. There we go, Telia. You've caught it. You found a hot new parody song for the internet. Very good. Oh, Starbound. I've never played Starbound. That's the sci-fi space Terraria type game, isn't it? Ravelin says, if you're non-UK like me, you can watch full episodes of Taskmaster on YouTube. They're up to season 6 currently. Oh, I didn't realise that wasn't available in the UK. Huh. Dave says, I struggle enormously to sit down and watch a full episode or film because I know I have a ton of tasks to do. However, I can kid myself on that it's okay to watch a stream because I can do other stuff, or a YouTube video because it's shorter. To be honest, it's weird. I will balk at the idea of watching a 2-hour movie, but I will quite happily dive in and watch a 3 or 4 hour YouTube video for some reason. It's just, I don't know why. Mainly because it's on my phone. And like you say, I can do other stuff. I can convince myself I'm not giving my full attention to it, and the other stuff I'm doing is not going to suffer. Oh man, I spent so long in Blender today. Anyway, I watched an hour-long interview with the Coen brothers being interviewed by Guillermo del Toro. I mean, how did that even end up in my feed? It was good, I enjoyed it, but it feels very weird. I think I'm doing something right when I get those kind of esoteric options coming in front of me. TLR has 15 minutes to spare, so they're going to spend it watching Twitch for the next 6 hours. Very good idea. Very good idea. It was Ian Sterling, Ralph. Yes, Ian Sterling. I was about to say, don't you mean Ian Drury? And then I thought, no, this is a different context. Yes, correct. Well done. Season 5 has Bob Mortimer. That is true. Bob Mortimer, an absolute legend. I don't think if I met Bob Mortimer I'd be able to speak. I would be so fucking cowed by the glory. I would be like, oh no. I have actually, I say met, but I have been in close proximity in the street with Vic Reeves, who I didn't know his real name at the time, but one of the people I was with did, and they were shouting across the street at him going, "Oi, John," whatever his name is, I can't remember now. But they were shouting, and it was during the filming of a film that had him in about, what was it called? Was it the one about Churchill? Anyway, there's on the south bank of the Thames in central London, there's a bar with a sail ship called the Golden Hind next to it. I think it's a recreation. But they were using that ship as a set for a film, and I can't remember what the name of the film was now. I've never seen it. I just know that was the film because I've seen the trailer and he's in the same frilly shirt I saw him in the street. But yeah, there we go. That interview vid showed up for me too. I didn't watch it though. I feel like anybody who ends up watching this stream is going to have at least a fairly large crossover in the Venn diagram of what what YouTube serves up to us, right? Because you've got to have at least broadly similar tastes to me to end up here. Twitch isn't recommending this shit willy-nilly. It's using some kind of algorithm and saying, maybe this one will like this one. I don't know. Bob Mortimer on Would I Lie to You? Oh yeah, no, that was a good one. That's one. Oh, I've seen Sal, the lecture about how the villains stuff works. Is that the one you're talking about? The Toady one? That's interesting. Apparently, that documentary series on YouTube, No Clip, they've got a Toady interview in the can that's going to be released soon. That seems exciting. It is a Mad World t-shirt or comedies, yes. But before Telia goes off the top of the screen talking about Would I Lie to You with Bob Mortimer, that episode where he rips the apple in half blew my mind. Anyway, I agree. November 2019, not yesterday. Yeah, no, it came up recently. I like Bob Mortimer now, but not Vic Reeves, and while I liked their stuff initially, it was so overdone so much, not just by them, I was so fed up with it. To be honest, I definitely think, for me, the comedic heart of that team is Bob Mortimer. I just cry laughing at some of his stuff. But I feel like Vic Reeves, Jim Moore, that's it, yeah. I feel like he's still got something that I enjoy, and certainly when they team up, it's fun. But I feel like it's mostly fun because it just feels like they work together well, you know? It's like cheese and pickle, or salad cream and new potatoes. You know, some it's one of those combinations that just works. Vic and Bob is a good one. Yeah. Best season of Taskmaster for me, says Ralph, was the one with Tim Vine. I love him as a comedian, and he was both brilliant and terrible at the task. He is a funny fucker, that's true. And when you see when you realise that his brother, the guy who does the TV show in the mornings, Jeremy Vine, I think it is, you're like, are they, huh? Of course they're related, but how? Polycarp says, I've got to go, but before I do, I just want to share the good news with everyone in the stream. Though we are all broken and messed up, God, who is perfectly just, became a man and died to pay the just penalty for all the messed up things we have done. Not only that, but he rose from the dead after 3 days, and if you trust in him alone, not yourself, to save you from your brokenness, he will save you. You can read Galatians in the Bible to know more. Well, that's exciting. I mean, personally, I'm not so sure that's correct, but you know, if it works for you, then that is good, and that should be what you pursue. It should be what you pursue. All right, let's scroll down. Galatians, however, that sounds like a D&D race. Probably is actually a civilization, isn't it? Now that I think about it. You lurk away, righteous. You have a good time. That's a good point. Anyone looking for Dwarf Fortress does stand a good chance of coming across my content. Not like that, you disgusting perverts. But I suppose it's not a huge milieu, is it? I mean, we've got a Krug Smash at the top of the tree, and then, I mean, there's a few others. There's quite a few people, but I don't think there's many who have been as persistent. I just seem to have sort of gone into a local minima of Dwarf Fortress, and now it just seems to be all I do online, which is fine, it's not a problem. But I feel like other people seem to have gone away. Like, that Quill guy does a load of other stuff. He's into RTSs and stuff, and here I am just carrying on. Where were we? Has he lied on Would I Lie to You? I'm not sure. The one about the house burning down, and that was true, wasn't it? I feel like not knowing the comedians on Taskmaster is one of the best things. Like, the ones you know and love are great, but finding new comedians is good. Although, having said that, have you seen the American version? Oh my god, it twisted my spine into knots of horror. It was unbelievable. Really not worth a watch, unless you really want to upset yourself. TDR, not a fan of Vic and Bob. Well, that's fine. I can understand some people not liking it, but I hate you for it. And I will kill you if I find you. I jest, of course. Jeremy writes gags for Tim. Amazing. I suppose if he's a reporter, so he does a lot of writing. I'd imagine he comes up with stuff in the pursuit of his work, of his vocation. Good counterpoint, Dave. Good counterpoint. I mean, I wasn't even looking for Dwarf Fortress. It just appeared in my recommendations one day. I suspect, Ravlin, that means you've been watching similar videos to me. I feel like that's the only... If you're not looking for Dwarf Fortress and you found my stuff, I mean, anything that isn't Dwarf Fortress on my YouTube channel is now super old, right? I mean, I suppose Sekiro's still pretty close. Still pretty fresh, relatively speaking. But I mean, if you're finding my... Alien Isolation playthrough or any of my Dark Souls stuff, that was a long time ago. A long, long time ago. Galaxians. Now you're pulling my leg. No, I didn't like Polycarp. Oh, that was you, Tilia, who said Galaxians. You crazy cat, you madman. I wouldn't watch the American version, it's not great. Galatians as an arcade game would be Jesus coming back to smite all the zombies. Surely he would be sympathetic to those who had risen from the dead. Hello Northwesterhausen, welcome back, thanks for joining us again. I used to consume panel shows / comedy in the same way I now consume Twitch, but I got fed up and just stopped. Ended up being so predictable. Yeah, you really have to take it like... You can watch only so much of it before you see the edges of the format, right? It's it's easy content basically for the UK broadcasters. You don't really get them. I've never seen a panel show as such from another nation. It seems like a uniquely British thing. But then again, I suppose unless it was Australian or American or Canadian, I probably wouldn't watch it anyway because I wouldn't have a clue what's going on. Mind you, I watch a lot of Japanese stuff, so. Maybe that does. Maybe I would see it. Who knows? Anything America right now makes my blood boil, says Robot in Progress. I've been thankfully, mercifully unaware of most of it. I only recently found out about the whole rioting stuff, and I looked into it briefly and went, oh dear, not good. And then I decided to look away because that's what you do. If it's something bad happening, just ignore it. It might stop. Ocelot says, I believe you owe me a poll to beer or not to beer. That is the poll. Well, if you want to get polled, let's go for it. Let's get polling, shall we? Let's manage a poll. New poll. Beer? Question mark. Beer? Exclamation mark. No beer! Exclamation mark. There we go. There's a 2-minute poll starting right now. Hopefully you will find the results to your tastes. You will enjoy what happens. You'll be pleasantly surprised, or just, your expectations will be pleasantly fulfilled. Who knows? Who would win in a fight between Jesus Christ and Cthulhu? I mean, it seems like a loaded question, really. First of all, Jesus Christ would be like, well, actually, I'm going to turn the other cheek. And Cthulhu would be like, oh, inexplicable madness, I feel like if Cthulhu kills Jesus, it's kind of not even, he's not trying, it's just something he does, and it's just a byproduct of what he's doing or thinking at the time. I don't feel like I feel like it's going to be very hard to set this fight up. I feel like you're going to have a hard time organising a face-to-face battle between the world's most legendary pacifist and an unknowable, intangible creature of roiling madness, I mean, first of all, the arena in which this fight takes place is going to be strange, to say the least. To say the least. We'll have to see, though. We'll have to see. I didn't know what a panel show was until the UK stuff came across my feed. I feel like fundamentally, when I've seen American TV channels attempt a UK-style panel show, and this is the problem with Taskmaster, they fundamentally misunderstand it by treating it as an actual competition rather as an opportunity and a format to hang some comedic ideas on. It's an opportunity for the people on the panel show to be witty, and they're not actually competing, whereas in the Taskmaster, the American version, they very much take it seriously as a competition, which is done to a degree in the UK version, but they all know that it's not really a competition. They're not really pursuing it as only the most madly competitive people are pursuing it as an opportunity to win, whereas maybe more so with Taskmaster, because that's certainly in that, like, the first season at least, when they were putting the prizes up, they got a little bit silly, let's just say that. 67% of people who voted, that's 6 people, say beer. So it looks like the poll has been decided. I'll have to take this cider back into the fridge and go and grab myself a beer. Oh dear, what a terrible thing. Where are we going in here? Well, I mean, Sivan, you're saying Jesus is just a human, Cthulhu is a god. What makes a god? Do we take the Pratchett interpretation of deification and say that a god is purely a god? In fact, the Marvel interpretation of deification, that a god is defined purely by the worship of it, in which case anything can be a god, right? It doesn't even have to be a conscious thing. An object can be a god. Or do we have this concept of it being an innately divine being that's worship is justified by its divinity? In which case, define divinity, of course, because just creating the universe doesn't necessarily imply divinity across the board. In some theologies, the universe is created by bad beings, or just happens for no reason. In fact, in some theologies, there are no gods whatsoever. It's a complicated subject. Also, in my opinion, entirely fallacious and therefore not worth pursuing. But that's just my factual opinion. Where were we? Yeah, no, the heavily prescripted ones are a bit guff. How about Buddha versus Cthulhu? I mean, the Buddha would again not be bothered to fight. I feel like having reached enlightened nirvana kind of strips away your cage fighting capabilities, right? Plus, he's put on a few pounds since he hit enlightenment, right? I've seen those statues. I mean, I'm not going to disagree with you, Ralph. I'm not what you would call a James Corden fan, but he does cop a lot of shit for I think he's trying, bless him. I don't think he's doing it maliciously. I don't think it's something that he's pursuing as an act of evil, but it does feel that way sometimes. You don't have to understand the rap for it to be good. That's true. I don't know what the context of that is, but 21st century, God is the electron, everyone worships it. You know what, Ocelot? I don't think you're correct there. I think we have slipped into a cult of mammon, and the concept of money itself is the god. I mean, you've got to admit, capitalism is a bit of a religion, and it is the dominant religion, and pretty fucking, all-encompassing. I mean, very much people worship money these days. Even the people who don't wish to worship money, by its all-encompassing nature in our lives, are forced to engage in acts of worship, even without belief. It is the de facto god of our world, and it's a blind Azathothean god with no moral or, philosophical direction or ideals. I mean, we are literally worshipping a Lovecraftian monster from, beyond our understanding. I mean, it's true. Where were we? Let's catch up. If you can rap in Eldritch tongue, and it would sound the same as mumble rap. I'm unfamiliar with mumble rap. I've heard of it, but I've never really engaged. It's never been something that I've dipped into. Jesus also at a disadvantage if the rap battle is any language other than Hebrew. Didn't he speak, or isn't he supposed to have spoken Aramaic? Isn't that the language of, the supposed language of Jesus Christ? Kali versus Cthulhu. Now, Hindu gods are gods I can really get behind. I mean, to be honest, if you're looking at a pantheon and you want cool gods that are still worshipped today, Hinduism, they have got some fucking, like, my favourite god by a country mile, Ganesh. I mean, Ganesh is fucking cool. Were I to believe in the Hindu pantheon, I would be all about that Ganesh right now. He is a rock solid fucking dude. Lovely guy. Unfortunately, I believe him to be fictional. But hey, that doesn't stop some people. People worship fictional characters too, Even when they know. James Corden is one of those people it's lazy and easy to hate as some kind of grooming ritual. Grooming ritual? I'm not sure the context of what you're saying there. I kind of feel like I agree with the through line, but the ending part of it confused me a little bit, I have to say. He's a reborn Columbus spreading disease from his homeland of deadly unfunniness to then spread it to the new world of British comedians in America. Heavens above. I like John Oliver, I have to say. I really like John Oliver, and I liked him before we went to the States. I've been a fan of him since pre-Last Week Tonight. I used to love him on the Bugle. And I may have met him and shamed myself when I went to a friend's gig when they were doing stand-up comedy, and I was still a pretty poor drinker. So, yeah. Telia says pause or unpause. I'm not even going to do that poll, Telia. I'm just going to unpause it at some point. I promise. Eventually. Keep going down. Northwesterhausen saying unpause. Oh, I see what you mean by grooming. You mean grooming in the chimp sense rather than grooming in the paedophile sense. That makes more sense. Yes, there we go. Unpause, then pause. Oh my god, power plays, Ravelin, power plays. Here we go. Unpausing. And now, back to the Dwarf Fortress. And it's only taken 43 minutes of recording. Well, there you go. That just shows how good these YouTube videos are, doesn't it, YouTube viewers? I mean, most Dwarf Fortress video people will be doing Dwarf Fortress wall to wall. They won't talk about anything else. Me, I know what you want. I know why you're here. You're not here to see these little fellas succeed or fail or do anything really. You're just here to listen to the inane babble that pours from my lips. I mean, bizarrely enough, that might be true. Very strange. Very strange. Have you considered seeking help? No? Alright, well don't bother. I mean, I'm benefiting from it, so I suppose it kind of makes sense for me to just sit back and go, fine, don't worry about it, don't seek help. Anyway, where was I? That was it. We were duping steel and basically waiting for our little lads to level up their metalworking skills, which is nice, but I probably should have got on with that earlier and unpaused it while I was jabbering. You know what? Let's put some beds in. That's a good start, isn't it? We'll do it in planning mode, and we'll whack them down over here. And once they're all full and all the doors in, we'll start designating them as rooms, because I get the feeling that 60 bedrooms is probably going to be close to enough, right? It's going to be within the ballpark. It's going to be close. I think we've got 60 rooms anyway. I'll count them later. Let's do doors in planning mode as well. We're missing one here. We're missing one here. And then we haven't got any here, or here, or here, or here, or here, or here. There we go. And that should do for doors and beds. Very nice. Okay, up to the dining hall, and we'll start designating some more smoothation to be taken. Designate smooth. Make it priority 1. Actually, no. Let's make it priority 3, because much as I would like the smoothing to get done, I feel like we're going to need our smoothers to be available at priority 1 down in the adamantine mines, right? Because obviously smoothing and fortifying are now vital ingredients in our adamantine industry. Which is good. It's good, good, good. Let me just get these all designated in. There we go. I'll do the walls at slightly lower priority so they get done afterwards. Not for any particular reason, other than once the furniture's down, it's going to be a pain in the ass to do the floors. And I would like to get the furniture in sooner rather than later, because this is a very late stage dining hall compared to what I normally do. Normally, I'll have my dining hall ready much sooner than this, but for some reason, it seems like I've gone all in on just fucking around and jibber-jabbering. Which is fine, you know. Could be worse. Could be a lot worse. I've already got some smooth walls. That's nice. Very good. The blue, very reminiscent of adamantine, but of course it's not adamantine. Because if it was, we wouldn't be smoothing it into walls. Well, I mean we would, but then we'd also be digging it out. Because you don't want to leave all that lovely adamantine in the wall. You know what? Yeah, baby, I'm the bad boy of mouse. That's what I'm doing right now. I'm taking those walls out with a little bit of clicky movement. Yeah, here we go. Mousy, mousy, mousy. Lovely. Smoothie woothy, mousy wousy. Lovely jubbly, as they say in the old Only Fools and Horses fan club. There we go, and then we'll also make it priority 5. And then the little throne room bit. Are we still digging this out? That needs more digging out before it's done. Okay, so down to the adamantine zone. While we're duping up our steel and getting our boys better at making things out of metal, we're going to head down into the depths. We're going to have some fun with adamantine. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to set a hotkey to get down here because, frankly, it's taking too long. So, H for hotkey? No, capital H for hotkey? Yes. Oh, wait, Shift F2. Oh, for fuck's sake, there's been a hotkey all along. Oh well, let's dig out some of this adamantine we've got here, particularly these bits, and maybe not those bits necessarily. Let's do a bit of fortification carving, or do I just dig down? Do I just dig down? That's always an option, right? Actually, what I'll do is I'll get an up-down stair, go below this bad boy, and then put that in there, and hopefully, if I make it priority 1, that will lead to some exposing of diggable bits, question mark. What's this here? Feet stone pillar. Raw adamantine pillar, smooth raw adamantine wall. What's a feet stone pillar? What does that even mean? Question mark? Query? Hmm. 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 Let's keep looking at chat, trying to catch up. I'm one of the mandrills on the edge of the troop, not wanting to admit that I don't know who this James person is. Don't worry about it. It's not important. It's very not important. Mouse is heresy greater than not praying to the God Emperor. Oh, come on now. Of course I pray to the God Emperor. Please. I don't want his Astartes turning up and kicking my head in. That would be no good. I make more typos than misclicks. Unfortunately, I can't claim that I make less of one than the other. I make many misclicks and many typos. So it's a problem. It's a problem. They've very kindly offered to pick Sal's lice. How wonderful. What a beautiful sentiment. Oh dear. Anyway, where were we? Oh, we're waiting for the save. It's taking its sweet time. I'm not sure these up-down stairs that I've designated below those stairs are actually going to get done. I feel like I might need to actually do a channel. In fact, that might make a lot more sense. Let's do that. DX. Let's get rid of these. Let's get rid of these. These are no use to us. There we go. Go back up and we'll say DH. And we'll dig down just there. Okay? And we'll also dig that out. There we go. In fact, let's not go too crazy. Let's only dig out one of those squares. There we go. Or channel out one of those squares, rather. That feels like a safer bet, right? Come on. Channely wannely. Hopefully we won't open up a pit to hell. That would be an issue. But we'll see how it goes. See how it goes. Someone is on their way down to dig out that little bit of stone, which would be nice. Unfortunately, no one seems to have picked up the channeling option. Why is that? Did I not set that to a high enough priority? There we go. It's priority 1 channel now. Fingers crossed someone will pick that up and deal with it. And it won't result in me making a gasping sound and getting clipped again, as has happened on a number of occasions previously. Come on. Oh, someone's created a masterpiece door. Not as exciting as creating masterpiece adamantine armour, but that's a ways down the road. That will happen, just not yet. Just not yet. Excuse me. Oh dear. Come on. Diggy diggy. Oh, it looks like someone's picked it up. Looks like it's got a yellow flash on it. Flash. Oh, they'll dig into the ground. No? That's the problem with digging this deep. It takes a while for your little lads to get down there and do any of the work, even though we are ticking along at about 60 FPS, which seems unusually high. Oh, hello, here we go. Someone's digging out those bad boys. That's good. Lovely bits of adamantine. And then off he goes, because of course, why would you not do the job down there while you're down there? Oh well. Has this been this has been fortified already, hasn't it? Yeah, Feetstone fortification. Why is it called Feetstone? That's what I want to know. We can always dig that out though, can't we? So let's... No, actually, wait a second. Let's say D priority 1. Capital F for fortify. I'm going to fortify this bad boy and see what's happening there. Get a look behind it. See if there's any more access to adamantine on this level. There could be... but there's no guarantees. I mean, there's a possibility it's just magma behind there, which would be disappointing, because it's going to start flooding through and fuck up everything for us. Well, fuck up everything vis-a-vis acquiring more adamantine, but we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. Sal still hasn't got around to watching Breaking Bad or Game of Thrones. Drugs and dragons / sexy time with power struggles, respectively, I believe. That's true. Uh-oh. Oh, please tell me that was the channeling. You have discovered the great magma sea. Magma sea. You are quite the discovery. However, take a little look at what we've discovered. No need to fortify this bad boy anymore. D, X. There we go. Now we can actually see the shape of the spire as we dig down, and very confidently predict the positioning. Although it does seem we're unlikely to get... Okay. Having said that, it looks also like these bits are safe, right? Safe to dig, safe to dig. So maybe we just dig it out and to hell with the consequences. Because clearly, here is our gateway to hell. If we go up a level, clearly it's somewhere around here. So I'm thinking if we can penetrate into this little nook, we can do some digging and smoothing that should reveal the happy fun stuff, which should then reveal the rest of the adamantine, giving us an opportunity to dig down if possible. Although this... I don't know, they could dig down through this bit, couldn't they? If we go up a level... Arse. Arse! Actually, yeah, it could be... This could be the elevator right there, couldn't it? Which is going to make getting into there awkward. What about this single square of magma? Is it just... Could we pump that empty? I'm pretty sure we can't pump the magma C empty. Pump the magma, oh yeah. Sorry. Although looking at this, we could bypass the magma C, right? It looks like there's an opportunity here to dig past the magma. Question mark. Actually, with the revelation of some of this magma, you might be able to find another adamantine spire. No. There might be one over here, but there are no guarantees. No guarantees. Well. Is there an equivalent of a fortification in the floor that we could do to peek downwards? I wonder. No wonder. Feet stone, cobblestone moulded to be cobbled in the shape of feet. Oh, interesting, interesting. Scoundrel, are you secretly Tolkien? No, no. All related to him, as far as I'm aware. I feel like that's the kind of thing you would know if you had a direct descendancy or relationship to Tolkien. It's the kind of relative you'd be aware of, right? I feel like it would be a source of money and trouble in the family. Dave saying, don't bother with Game of Thrones. Everything good was completely wiped out by the worst end to a TV series ever. Someone hasn't watched Lost. It's incredible as a cultural phenomenon, though. It was all we talked about for years and now it's just forgotten. Well, the first few seasons are worth a watch, but only if you can stomach the idea that it's not going to turn out to be anything worth it. Isn't there a mod to dig the whole vein? There is, however, not ideal to be used on adamantine because they grow around openings into hell, which is a problem. Anyway, let's unpause and think about how we are getting down into this mess. So first of all, we're going to dig out these bad boys because I believe them to be separate from the magma. Could be wrong, but we're going to risk it. We're going to risk it. We're going to take the chance. Take a chance on me. Are they going to come down and do it, or are we going to miss out on stuff here? I'm slightly concerned that little opening into the magma sea might result in some kind of crab incursion, so I think I might build a floor over it. Build constructed floor. Pop it right there. And we'll make it out of that lump of diorite that's right next to it. Very exciting. Very well thought out. Very clever, scoundrel. What a clever boy. Give yourself a biscuit. Don't have any biscuits. Alright, just talk to yourself as if you're another person. Okay. Okay. I will go and grab another beer in a minute. And probably avail myself of the opportunity to have a little wee-wee. Except I'm underplaying the size of the wee-wee. It's going to be, frankly, an enormous piss. Racehorse-esque in volume and ejection speed rather than the place it's coming from. I would not describe my man parts as racehorse-esque. Why? Why did I could have chosen to use any words in the English language there, at the risk of not making any sense, but certainly even, you know, the majority of English words would probably be much more sensible to use. Silly. Chansu! Indeed, Tidy. Huge chansu for adamantine. Hot crabs are the worst crabs, yes. You don't want that feeling of having pants full of mobile boiled marbles. Okay. Let's just pretend that I never said that, because mobile boiled marbles is a very weird thing to say. Right, I am going to go out on a limb here and say that this is also safe magma, adamantine, rather than magma, because it's not magma, it's adamantine. Please don't vaporize my boys, There we go. Keep digging. Come on, diggy. Show me that sweet adamantine. I was so brave and it paid off. Okay, we can dig these boys out too now. Actually, let's just clear out some space there, just to expose any further adamantine vein. There we go, diggy, lovely. Further diggeration, right there. Come on. And that's it. We can feel pretty confident that we got all of the adamantine on that floor. Also, now with the revealed hot stuff, we can also feel pretty confident that we can take these bits as well. Oh, happy days, happy days. Come on, dig it out. Give me all of that candy. Give me all of your candy. Come on, game. You can do this. You can give me that sweet, sweet candy. Toilet cleaner ads in no time. Ah, man. There's been a number of times where I've kept streaming when I should have gone for a pee, and I've been mildly concerned that I'm going to strip the enamel off the bowl when I actually get round to going. This is not one of those occasions. Although I feel like I could be featured on one of those channels with industrial machinery where they're like, what would happen if you put your hand into this cutting machine? You know? If I peed directly onto my fingernail, it would probably just blast straight through. That was another weird thing to say. Maybe I shouldn't go and get another beer. Maybe I should just take it easy and not say stuff like that. It kind of makes sense. Although it is 1 AM. I feel full of... Did I hear correctly? Mobile boiled marbles. You did. I don't know why they were boiled. It should have been boiling. Boiling marbles. But hey, that's just me, being a crazy fool. Turns out they don't want to dig this stuff up, even though it's priority 1. Oh, tell a lie. Somebody's actually on it. Somebody's got on the job and they're doing it. I want to channel down into this square here, but I'm concerned that if this is the hell mouth, it's difficult. That seems to be the only square I can, with regards to magma, tunnel safely, which is a problem. I want the hellhole. You see, with the hellhole very, very definitely being here, I feel like this is a very dangerous area here. If we dig down here, we're diagonally breaching onto it, aren't we? But equally, I don't want to... I suppose we could dig down there, because it only moves 1 Z level. This is going to need further analysis. Let's just watch them take this adamantine and get the satisfaction of that first. And then we'll figure it out. Yeah, like those hydro cuttles used on metal. Anyone else seen that 60,000 PSI jet cutter channel? I watched them put some hot dogs into chainmail gloves designed to stop butchers from cutting their fingers off. And when they blasted the 60,000 PSI jet, which has previously been cutting fucking slabs of marble in half, and then they direct that across the fingers, all the sausage meat just bursts out through the chain links. Not the kind of thing you would want to cut your fingers with. I mean, not that I would want to cut my fingers at all. I feel like once you've got to the point where you're cutting your fingers, things have gone wrong. Things have gone very, very wrong. Now, are we is it a guarantee that the spire will eternally go through the magma, or might it divert out? Is there a possibility that we dig down over here, past the magma, dig across to here, dig down again, and then dig down over here, dig down? It's tough to say, to be honest. I mean, we are really running the risk of breaching into hell here. Is there anything we can do to penetrate through the magma to give us access to more? I mean, maybe we could get a plug of some kind. You know how people deal with aquifers? Maybe we could have a plug of stone from above drop down, giving us access to the adamantine face. Bum 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 bum. Seems difficult. Seems very difficult. Hello Stratosphere 24. I don't recognise your name in chat. Thanks for joining us again. I haven't played this game in years. Can magma be pressurised and blow out like water? I think so, but there are a lot of little tips and tricks you can do to avoid the pressure, which I'm not fully conversant with. So let's not take that as a guarantee of that not happening. There's a good chance this fortress could succumb to either some kind of pressurised magma spout or just opening up the Candyland, which is, you know, suboptimal to say the least. Although having said that, we do have the area fully closable off. We can just pull a drawbridge up and seal it in, which would be nice, wouldn't it? It would be nice. Looks like they're getting on with extracting adamantine strands. Very good. We're duping up a lot of steel. Let's just check the stock level, shall we? Let's have a little look. Bars, here we go. 86 steel bars. I mean, it's more than we've got adamantine now, which is a shame because, you know, in any other circumstance where we didn't have adamantine, that would be amazing. That would be a fantastic quantity of steel to have duped up. But sadly, we're only using it as a stepping stone to get our way to fantastic blue candy armour. Oh, I say, how fancy. That's a good point, Claycree. That is a very good idea to put that link in chat. Well done. I saw one of those things where they put the sausage by the saw blade and it went down immediately. Imagine putting my dick in it. Oh my goodness, that sounds very dangerous. Is it worth it to mine adamantium based on the risk of lava burning a dwarf alive? Yeah, I mean, what's one dwarven life compared to the priceless value of adamantine? I mean, even my most skilled miner, if we end up getting like a whole another level of adamantine out of it, I feel like one dwarven life, not an issue? Not an issue, really? Well, worth it. Water is the usual solution to get the adamantine in the magma. Ah, Pusanium Jesus. Thank you very much. That seems like a good idea. Maybe I need to get into pumping. I need to get into being a bit of a pumper. I've never done pumping before. I feel like it's it could be as likely to backfire as the magma thing as well. That link, if it's the Koksuku band, then it should be in the Discord, but you may have to scroll up fairly far to get to it, Sal. But it's well worth a watch, I would say. The problem is the suicide chain after one dwarf. See, that's not guaranteed, Sivan. It can happen. It does happen. But usually it takes a bit more than just... I mean, maybe there is one death that is the straw that breaks the camel's back. And that appears to start the downward cycle. But I feel like you need to have already a population of dwarves on the edge, ready to go in. I mean, I suppose we do have 4 dwarves who are currently pretty peeved, but we'll see how it goes out. It might work out, it might be good. You can always make more dwarves, there's only so much adamantine. Very true. Beautiful sentiment. I agree with that, Stratosphere. I agree. I've never needed a piss more in my life, and I didn't when you said you needed one. For the love of the elder gods, go and empty your aching bladder. I will in a bit, Dave, don't worry. Although I feel like, because we've been sitting there jibber-jabbering with the game paused for so long, I feel like I need to let the dwarves get something done before I leave them for another little break. Because if I do take a break, I'm going to take a break. I'm going to toddle off and play some ads and a bit of music for you guys, rather than just leaving you watching the stream and not knowing if you should get up and go for a piss yourselves. Although many of you will be watching on mobile phones, making the idea of whether or not you should get up to do something kind of moot, because you could just carry the phone with you. Do wash your hands. You won't even need pumps if you can just let it flow from above. Let it flow, let it flow. Mega 117. That does look like Texas, and in fact, I mentioned that earlier. I believe someone in the subreddit for Dwarf Fortress was mentioning how like Texas many of those volcanoes do tend to look, which I agree with. They do look a bit like Texas. All my exes went in the volcano, as they sing in that country song from GTA. Which one, I don't remember. How is His Holiness doing? Well, right, just let me have a little look. I'm going to have a little peeky poo at the nicknamed dwarves. Tell you what, let's all go over there. Let's all go over to Dwarf Therapist while we've got the opportunity. We have 21 nicknamed dwarves out of a population of 53 adults, 11 children, and 5 vulnerable babies. We have Orchimedes, Bauxite Beard, Billy Bogrol, Buckshot Brigade, Curly 2, Defecatius, Druids Mead, Arian, His Holiness, doing fine, and also literally fine. His happiness level is fine. Claycree, Murder Machine G6, Northwesterhausen, Ocelot, Polycarp, Rando 303, Ravelin 3, Salford Sal, or Salford Sal as it is correctly pronounced, me, Stairmaster 400, who should be Stairmaster 4000, Tidy, and Zastaver, who I can't remember who that is for. That is actually a namey after someone in chat, but it's not their chat name. We also have 48 unnamed dwarves ranging from adults to babies, so if any of you in chat want one, you can use channel points to request a name. If you haven't been watching for 2 hours and accrued enough points to do that, then you can just say in chat and I might notice and give you a dwarf anyway. But I probably won't be doing any more nicknaming until after the break, so bear that in mind. Bear it in mind. Okay, so back to the production of adamantine. It looks like the quantity of steel we have is going down, which presents somewhat of a riddle, which puts Conan in my head because, of course, the riddle of steel with good old Thulsa Doon, played by James Earl Jones, or, as Arnold Schwarzenegger calls him in the commentary to Conan the Barbarian, James Earl Jones, which is a lovely way to pronounce it. Man, I love that movie. The first Conan film really tickles my fancy, but if you like the film and you haven't heard the DVD commentary to it, I would recommend you go and watch that, because it's a real rib tickler. It's a good old laugh. Arnold Schwarzenegger saying many humorous things. Salford Sal, your dwarf has been busy making more dwarves. I mean, talk about pumping them out. Ridiculous. Dave says I might be in the list for another dwarf. I think you're all right, Dave. You're already dwarfed. No, okay, maybe not. You must be in the queue already. You must be in the queue. Amount of steel going down. Blame the kobolds. They're going to have to be pretty Ocean's 11 level kobolds, Sivan, because the whole fortress is sealed off from the undead siege. Oh, thank you very much, Lord Shaper. Much appreciated. So they're going to have to be pretty special kobolds to get anything in our fortress. Cram! Dave V2 was killed until he was dead. Oh dear. Terminal and fatal. That's disastrous. Poor old Dave V2. Well, at least V3 is going to be fine. He says, lacking confidence in his convictions. So, back down to the adamantine zone, just to get an idea of what we're doing. Now, water has been put forth as a sensible solution. But by what method do we give it access to the magma below? I could channel out a large area around the adamantine and then fill this chamber with water via methods that allow us to... Oh, it's not entirely possible, is it? So this is the furthest we can channel. It's not impossible, actually. It's not impossible. Actually, if we just... And we could even do it with a bucket chain, right? We don't need to even physically flood the area. We could just... Maybe if we build a system for flooding the area, and then, like, just over here, say, on the floor above, we dig out a little pit, and then on the floor below we have some floodgates. So I put a couple of floodgates here, dig a little chamber over here. Yeah, let's do it. Let's start this. Why bother thinking, scoundrel? Just get on with the doing. So we dig this out a little bit further than that. That's it. And then we'll go for a nice sized system. About yay big? Question mark? Yes. Yes. Okay, we can dig that out. And then on the floor above, we are going to do a similar sized area and just fill it with water. In fact, we don't even need to make it particularly large, do we? Just channel down. As long as we're over the system, it's fine. Just tip the water in. Be all good. Or is it going to evaporate before we can do that? Oh, we'll find out, won't we? I'm sure someone in chat will tell me. I'm sure I shall be informed at the earliest opportunity. Opportunity. A little look at chat. Ravelin 3 has been fine, so Dave 3 has a chance. That's true. 3 does appear to be a lucky number. Did Defecatius get added, or did he die? No, he's still there, Rob. Still there. Still very much there. I feel, Sal, that this may be a recurring theme in the Dwarf Fortress community. There may be more than one Defecatius. There's certainly more than one Scoundrel Dwarf. Well, I mean, maybe not. Last time, I think Blue Zest put me in his fortress, but I don't think I've been put into anyone else's fortress recently on a timescale that I'd be confident saying that they're still alive. If you set multiple pond zones, it will allocate more buckets to the fill. Ah, well, that's a good idea. We've got plenty of dwarves as well, and the materials by which we could make buckets. In fact, let's put an order in for some tin buckets, shall we? Just while we're here. So, tin buckets. Oh. Well, I called them tib. That's no good. Tin space bucket. There we go. Give me 20 tin buckets. I know, I sound crazy, but sometimes crazy is what's needed. Sometimes you need a bit of cray-cray. Let's have a little look at our smelteries here. They're currently just duping steel like mad, although that guy there, this one in the corner here, is smelting cassiterite ore, of which we have an inordinate quantity. Let me just check the stock levels for tin. How are we doing for tin bars? 7. It's not going to make 20 buckets. However, I feel like it will do us okay. It's going to be a long-term goal to get 20 buckets. It's going to be a long-term goal. It's not something we're going to get immediately. We appear to have completely run out of wood, which is a bit of an issue. Have we... Oh, we filled all the bedrooms with beds though, so it's not the end of the world. We've done all the doors. I do need to set all these as bedrooms now, don't I? Yawn. Enter. Enter. I'm not even going to resize them to get that front wall. I'm just going to bosh them in. There we go. Bosh them in, scoundrel. Get those fucking bedrooms done. That's the ticket. That's the tickety-boo. Whew. My goodness. The internal sirens are going off now pretty aggressively. The urinary sirens are saying, go, 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 to the toilet and expel. But you know what? I'm going to get this done first. I'm going to get this done first, and when I go, it's going to be mighty satisfying. My urethra will dilate to the size of a 50p piece. Holy shit! Okay, that was unnecessary, but I said it, so now I have to live with the consequences of my bizarre imagination. Please don't take that as a literal statement. It's highly unlikely to evolve into a factual circumstance. At best, we're going to make it to the size of a 5p, and even then, that's brutal. Excuse me! Excuse me. A little bit of a burp there. I said a little bit of a burp. It was an enormous belch. But that's okay. That's okay. It's not the worst thing I've done this stream. That probably happened moments before. Let's keep going down. No one's digging this out. Oh, I tell a lie. They are digging it out. That's very good. What we need to do then is if we dig a 2 wide thing here, thusly. There we go. And then we just channel out this bit, put the pit order there. How many is that? That's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. It's not enough. It's not going to let me use my 20 buckets if I do that. So I'm going to dig out more around it. Okay, so going down, we're not quite there. Up a floor, down a floor, round and round the floor. Doesn't need to be quite as big as the floor below, but I'm going to do it nonetheless. There we go. Then we make a nice ring around the edge with a pit to pour all the water in. And we're going to need to pop some floodgates in here as well, which will require the creation of floodgates, which I'm going to make out of stone, I think. Warm stone? Oh, stick it up your bum, sir. Stick it up thine pooper. Oh, this is going to be a hell of a bloody dig, isn't it? If it's all going to be triggering warm stone warnings. Yeah, it's going to need nursemaiding pretty aggressively. Is it possible to be both a good nursemaid and an aggressive nursemaid? I feel like a level of temperance, a level of calm is required for successful nursemaiding. Maybe not. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm not the right guy. Although Mary Poppins not technically a nursemaid, is she? Isn't it? A nursemaid looks after little wee babbies, not general children, right? Because of course a wet nurse does the old breastfeeding. Very different proposition. I don't feel like people would be cool with that these days. I feel like it's going to be considered a bit odd if you try and hire a wet nurse. I mean, putting yourself up as a person to be hired as a wet nurse is going to be taken pretty weirdly, right? People are going to look at you askance for sure. Certainly a man, if I was to attempt to do it, they'd be like, what now? You do what? And you make a living doing this? Well, that's unusual. Lacto lad. Right, let's let them uncover... Oh, okay. Let's just let them uncover that bit and then we'll redesignate. This is going to take forever. How long have I been recording for? Oh, I've done an hour and a half almost. That's good. That's good. Oh, Sprocket Toad. Thank you very much for bequeathing your prime to me. Wonderful. That's what I like to call an Optimus Prime. An optimal priming. Let's scroll up chat for a second. Let's let this unfold for a bit. Let it resume. I hope assigning rooms is easier in the Steam version, says Sivan. This version is so boring. It is boring. But, you know, sometimes Dwarf Fortress makes you pay a price for the fun you get out of it. I always name my expedition leader insert name out of my deep respect for you. That's not actually true, but it's a nice sentiment. I like it. I very rarely actually say... I never actually designate someone as a leader. It just... Whoever ends up being the leader ends up being the leader. So me putting a name on it, a particular one, would be crazy. Or difficult. My teeth are floating, says Dave Velociraptor. My goodness. But what if they're floating in pee? What are you drinking that's making your pee so dense enough to float human teeth in? I mean, I'm not a dentist by any stretch of the imagination, but I'm guessing that human teeth are fairly dense, right? They're not going to float in water for sure, which I'm guessing most of a normal pee-pee is, right? I'm guessing. That's just me guessing. I don't know for sure. That's a lot of emotes. Oh my goodness. Is that a griffin? Oh, hello, heavens above. I could fill 20 buckets right now. Small buckets, surely, not like big floor washing buckets. Then again, what would you do with 20 floor washing buckets filled with piss? I certainly can't think of any immediate use for them. I suppose you could try and get some phosphor out of them. You could boil off the piss to get phosphor, but that's dangerous. You'd end up burning yourself doing that. You don't need to assign the bedroom. Dwarves will claim an available room when they need to sleep and then keep it indefinitely. Oh yeah, I'm not assigning, but you have to say it's a bedroom, don't you? Otherwise it's just a bed in an area, which dwarves will sleep in, but they're much more likely to actually claim a room and say it's my bedroom if they've got an actual designated space. That's the thing, right? It's a little bit tedious adding bedrooms to taverns, though. Oh, I rarely do that. I rarely do that. Mandates the production of dead nobles. Zastava. Heavens above. You've got a thing about nobles, haven't you? You're you've got quite the revolutionary zeal. Very disappointed, I would say, in the current operating system for Dwarven society. That's okay. You can be disappointed in Dwarven society. I'm not sure we're going to start randomly executing nobles, although if this mayor keeps giving us mandates, maybe we're going to start moving more towards your political paradigm. I feel like there's a good chance he could piss me off enough. I doubt pee is lighter than water, given that it includes... chat moved? Human waste in it. That's true. That's true. And it is mostly water itself, so... Teeth floating is something you do to horses. I'm unaware of this. Teeth floating? I take it it's not a literal floating of horse teeth. You don't, like, pull the horse's teeth out and check they float in a glass of something and then go, I'll buy it. Snout Muncher says, considering this is dwarf piss, it's probably denser than normal water due to the carbon content from the alcohol. Interesting proposition. Although, I have to say, or you may have missed the initiation of this little line of thinking, we're actually talking about my piss, and I'm not a dwarf. I know you can't see from this camera angle, but I have full-length legs and otherwise normal proportions. So, yeah, not technically a dwarf. In spirit, of course, very much a dwarf. Physically, however, I am somewhat lacking. Well, I suppose lacking's the wrong word. I am somewhat overloaded with flesh and bone. Am I on a mandate with the mayor? No, I'm not, no. Sprocket Toad says, I had to build my first jail, stuffed all sorts of stuff in there, including 2 stockpiles for food and drink. Someone put a bin full of masterful crafted food, and I think it has made the value of the room very, very high. People keep trying to take the prison as a bedroom. How rude. Do they not understand how justice works? Barbarians. True barbarians. Why even have a noble at all? They just waste there. Well, remember, the broker and the bookkeeper and the manager are all nobles, technically, and they're quite useful. I'd quite like having those 3 at least. Nighty night, Hiber No Way. Oh, there's no way I'll forget to pee. There's a small chance I'll piss myself sitting on the sofa there, which is a bit of a problem. Sastava, bold claims, claiming to be an elf that's more dwarfy than most nobles. I mean, elves? Ugh, disgusting. Ugh, hideous creatures. Burn them alive! Or just make them dead, you know, whichever's quickest. The salt and nitrates add to the density of urine. Oh, okay. I would imagine pretty much. There's not much you're going to be able to add to piss to make it lighter, is there? Surely piss being mostly water is just, it's going to be very difficult to find anything other than like a dense oil that will float it, right? Anyway, we're not talking about piss, the buoyancy of piss. We're talking about the buoyancy of teeth. That's what we were talking about. And frankly, I can't think of many liquids. Maybe you probably float teeth on... oh my god, what's it called? The liquid metal that's liquid at room temperature. The surname of the Queen singer. Mercury. You know, I reckon you could float teeth on mercury, but I can't think of many other fluids that they would float in. Then again, I'm not sure how dense teeth are. I worked in a stables for a few weeks. Then when the horse dentist comes, they float teeth. I don't know what it is though. Interesting. We'll have to look at it. We'll have to look at horse teeth flotation, see what it's like. We'll Google it after the break. Otherwise, normal proportions don't include 50p sized urethras. That's true. That's true. But that was a hypothetical rather than an actuetical. Actuetical? Rather than an actual statement of fact. My urethra is perfectly normal size. I'm just hypothesizing that this pee is going to be so intense when released that it will stretch me somewhat. A lot. There's people catching up and saying mercury. Very much correct. Hammered a dragon to death while the dwarves sat in their mountain homes doing nothing. Then I raided an elf village and burned all their trees. Well, that's good. I mean, as long as you're an elf that burns down trees and upsets other elves, I suppose that's okay. You're one of the good ones. That's what they say, isn't it? I had to look it up, says Clay Cree, because teeth floating sounds exotic, but it looks like it's mostly just filing them down because their teeth get too sharp. Really? I've never imagined horse teeth getting too sharp. Surely they're very flat affairs for chewing grass. Gallium! Oh, I didn't. Oh yeah, no gallium, but that's not all. You can get that does solidify if you warm it up in the hands. Gallium melts, right? That was one of the early hypotheses for how Uri Geller was bending spoons, wasn't it? He'd made some kind of gallium. What's it called? Alloy that was melting, but not fully liquidizing. Why am I talking about Uri Geller? Aren't teeth hollow from the nerves, though? So the piss may fill up said hole. Well, if it does, then it's still going to sink, right? If you can get an air bubble inside the nerve hole, then maybe a tooth will float, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure how much air you're going to need inside a tooth to make it buoyant. Just making them more uniform, that makes sense. What are your thoughts on warm flowing water? That it may well appear in my undergarments in very short order. Horses need sharp teeth for biting chunks of flesh. That makes sense. That makes sense. Carnivorous horses. I should make a song about that. I saw the horse eat a chicken. I didn't see a horse eat a chicken actually. No, it was a cow eating a sparrow. And like I've definitely seen cows eating chicks. Weir horses. Oh wow! I've been killed by a weir horse before. Not IRL, obviously, but indoor fortress. Well, I suppose technically it didn't kill me. It killed several of my dwarves. It ended the fort. Kind of like being killed. You get where I'm going with that. You understand the sentiment, right? It makes sense. I love horses. Best of all the animals. I love horses. They're my friends. Father Ted, I think. The guy from that kids' TV show. No, don't go on that little tangent. Oh, Uruz Rune, thank you very much for joining us with a party of 12. My goodness, such numbers, such wild numbers. Thank you very much. You catch us at an awkward time though, because I've been discussing my my need for a break, which is it's always the way, isn't it? I always raid people just before they finish their stream or just before they take a big long break, which is never the best, is it? It's always like, yay, someone else to watch. Oh, they're gone. So I'll do my best to hang around for a bit. I will do my level best. I'll give it a go. That's right, I can't pee now, Revlin. I've got to stay for a bit. Not Father Ted. It was an advert around 15 years ago on TV for a kids magazine about horses. Really? What would that... Didn't Father Ted write a song about a horse? Or am I mixing up Father Ted and Little Sebastian from that American show? Oh my god. My ability to recall names is absolutely shockingly bad. Such numbers, many raiders. That's right. What a beautiful number. 12 is a good number, isn't it? Divisible by so many little numbers beneath it. 6, 3, 4, 2, 1, I suppose. It's not divisible by 7. That would be insane. or 8. Is 12 divisible by 8? No, of course it's not. Well, oh, the maths! It's destroying my mind! Oh, I'm sorry. I was having a little moment there. Father Ted wrote a song for Eurovision called My Lovely Horse. That's what I was thinking of. That's what I was thinking of. Right, it's paused. Why is Dwarf Fortress paused? What was the last notification? Warm stone. Ah, well, let's continue the digging regardless of the warm stone, because we have a fairly high level of confidence that there's not actually going to be any magma behind it. What I'll do is I'll just ignore the notifications, let them dig what they can, and then we'll just redesignate what's left. Oh, for fuck's sake, don't go upstairs. What are you doing? Oh no, they've entirely abandoned? Huh? An elven caravan from Silithalu has arrived. Oh, and it appears that the undead siege has buggered off as well. That's an interesting proposition. I didn't think we were going to get another siege, or another caravan anytime soon, but it turns out that we have, and it seems that they've chased away the undead. I am not happy about the level of shame I'm experiencing right now. The idea that the elves got rid of the undead that was sieging our fortress is severely shame-inducing. I mean, if there wasn't such a high-pressure build-up of urine behind my genitalia, they would have shriveled inside out. But unfortunately, they are being kept tumescent, but kept in their standard shape by extreme levels of pressure. 60,000 psi, I'll have you know. Okay, so where are the elves? Let's have a look at the others here. That was a weird thing to say, wasn't it? There's our forgotten beast. There's a caged... Oh no, it's a stray dog the merchants have caged. It's not a caged merchant. We've got an undead dingo head, a partial skeleton of a wild boar, undead kangaroo doe skeleton, a wild boar sow head, and a possum partial skeleton. You know what? I think we could probably open up to trade, but I'm not sure. Shall we leave it as a cliffhanger for the break? Does that sound like a good idea? Apologies to all the people who came with the raid to leave you so suddenly for so long, but first of all, I need to get another beer. This one is... Turns out there was a bit left. But that one's now empty. I need to empty myself, and I also need to grab some sort of snack. My tumbly is feeling somewhat rumbly. So, for now, let's just say goodbye to the YouTube viewers. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. See you on the other side. Bye-bye.